Welcome back to the Cool Comic Show. I'm your host Damien, and today we have a new type of video for you all called My Cool Books. The purpose of these videos will be to talk about books that we're currently reading, maybe a recent book that we finished, or even books from years ago that we really enjoyed that we want to share with you all. We'll aim to keep these videos short for you guys. It'll just be an overview of the book. We'll kind of go through some of the pages without going through too many spoilers. We actually did a little bit of a soft launch of this show last week where E did a video about the DC and Marvel Pride books for the month of June, so make sure you go watch that if you haven't already. But today, as the official kickoff for this show, we are going to be talking about Thor by Jason Aaron from 2013, I believe. Originally, I was going to launch this show with the Wonder Woman run by George Perez because Wonder Woman is my favorite character. But Thor Love and Thunder comes out this week, actually today if you're watching this video the day it was uploaded. So I figured it would be best to do today's video on this book because the movie is taking two big plot lines from this book. As you can tell by the cover, without spoilers, you already know about one. So I just read it last week. Like I said, we're not going to go through too many spoilers, but I'll kind of go through some parts of the book, talk about what I liked about it and all that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, here we have the book on my brown on brown background. Let's go ahead and open it up. So this book actually has a couple of different covers. It has this cover here, as you guys see. There's a variant version that has this cover here on the back side. And when I mean cover, I mean the cover that's on this dust jacket. So I have this cover here, but there is a version that has this cover. These are both I guess they call them the direct market covers. And then the third one is like the standard one you probably will find in a store and that kind of thing. But I got the cover of this one. Here's the spine. Again, this is by, I know how to work this webcam, Jason Aaron, artist Russell Darterman and Esad Ribic. And this has been a fun read. I'm hoping that they, release volume 2, part 2 of this kind of thing. I think this is the first half of his run. So I'll go through some of the pages. Again, I'm going to avoid some spoilers, but if you are interested in this book, after you watch the movie or going into the movie, make sure you go buy the comic. Make sure you support the industry. We want to go through some of the story arcs, some of the early ones. So the way it starts off, it has this arc with Thor in the past, Thor in present time, and then another version of Thor in the future where he's like King Thor and this old man. They all get kind of intertwined together because of this villain named Gore the God Butcher. If you know anything about the Thor movie, you know that Christian Bale is going to be playing Gore. And this first arc is actually very interesting, kind of how the three different versions of Thor are handling it. You can see here, obviously, that Gore is kind of making his mark, his presence known. Here you can see old man King Thor. I always really like old person version of heroes, like old woman, old man, whatever the case is. I don't know, it's just always very interesting to me. So you can kind of see Gore here a little bit, his first I guess this is his first actual appearance here. They fight, and so that's a little bit of, the first arc there. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. If you are interested, please go pick up the comic. Please go support the industry. And so there's also this page as well, which if you guys have seen the trailer, this is the page everyone is talking about. That was 1-to-1. Or I guess 1-to-1 because they had Korg in the trailer here, close to 1-to-1. I mentioned this in a previous video. I hope that more comic book movies bring comic book pages to the screen. I know in Batman v Superman, it had like the Dark Knight Returns comic book cover in one of the fight scenes. I don't know if many other movies have had like a, direct 1-to-1 page. I think supporting the comics in this way, and you see how excited everyone gets for this kind of thing, and it gets more interest in the books. And I'm all about supporting the industry and keeping, the book side of things going. So I hope there's more movies, not only, have these kind of things in the movies, but then they also give credit to the artists and the writers and that kind of stuff. And so for a few issues, Gore and Thor, say that 5 times fast, they're having their battle, they're having their back and forth. And then you get to this issue, Thor God of Thunder number 6, which is, a full origin backstory of Gore the God Butcher, him and his family, him being alien. I don't know if they'll kind of go into that in the movie, but this issue here goes into all that and everything that happened with him. And so as I mentioned, in the beginning, there's these 3 versions of Thor, of the past, the present, and the future. They eventually all come together and, have their hijinks. You guys can see in the comic kind of what happens with all that. And then what all that leads to is Thor and Jane Foster getting reunited. She actually just got diagnosed with cancer. She talks to Thor about it, and he wants to, help her still enjoy things in life, and he takes her to the moon. They're able to have their nice moment, on the moon, checking out the Earth. After that Gore God Butcher arc and him getting reunited with Jane, he has this next little story that happens where it's the return of Malekith. If you guys remember from Thor the Dark World, everyone's favorite MCU movie, that is the villain, the Dark Elf from that part of it. But this is Malekith in the comics. And so they have like this fun little arc here in this Malekith part where Thor kind of gets this like Lord of the Rings fellowship, like a group of homies together. These are the kind of things I'm talking about in the terms of supporting comic books more, in that like these kind of interactions and these little stories and quests and that kind of stuff, you're not always going to get it in a TV show or in a movie. Being able to read it and live with these characters and spend time with these characters and really get to know them, it's very, very satisfying. I just hope that more people get into it so they can learn about new characters maybe they wouldn't have seen in a TV or a movie and they can fall in love with. And there's this cool part here where they show the 9 realms off. I know they talked about it in a couple of the movies, but it goes into it a little bit more here, a little bit of a map for you. And so it gets to a point of the book where it's a bit of a transition. Let's just say somebody dies, someone else whispers something in Thor's ear, and because of the whisper, he is no longer able to pick up the hammer. And so here, this is where I was just talking about of Thor trying to pick up the hammer and he can no longer pick it up, which goes into the next book, I guess you would say, where they restarted Thor the way they were numbering it with Thor #1. This is a variant cover of that, but the main cover is this one here. And so at the time when this book was coming out, there was a lot of speculation because they didn't actually announce who this was. They just announced that there was going to be a woman who was going to be Thor. You know, she wasn't She-Thor, she wasn't Lady Thor, she was just going to be Thor. But no one knew at the time who this was. This is the last part of the book I'm going to talk about. There's a lot after the fact, but I just wanted to kind of lead up to this. Thor 2014 #1. Again, at this point, no one knew who it was. And so in this first issue of the new, Thor numbering, a few things that happen with Thor, of course, not being able to pick up the hammer, but it ends here where they're talking about, being worthy to pick up the hammer. And if you notice, I'll have to try to zoom in on this, the writing on the hammer, the person speaking, they change it instead of he to she be worthy. And the issue ends with here. I mean, this book came out 8 years ago, so not too much of a spoiler, but this was the last page I wanted to get to. Again, we want to keep these videos somewhat short, just kind of talking overall of a book we're reading, a book that we read recently or something a few years ago. That's Thor by Jason Aaron. Make sure you guys check it out if you are interested after you watch the movie. If you don't want to buy this big book, I know Marvel has their subscription service you can get it on. There's like, individual books you can get on Amazon, all that fun stuff. But if you guys like these kind of videos, go ahead and let us know. I want to keep doing them. I'm going to keep doing them. This is Thor for the release of Thor Love and Thunder. I can't speak. Next week, assuming things go well with my schedule and stuff, I want to do one for my George Perez run of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is my favorite character. But yeah, I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys enjoy the movie. I'm actually going to go watch it. I'm recording this today on Thursday. I'm going to go watch it tomorrow on Friday release day, so I'm going to check it out. I know there's been some people that are kind of been wishy-washy on the movie at this point, but I just enjoy comic book movies just in general. It's very rare that I don't like something that's a comic book movie. So I'm looking to go have some fun. I think it'll be a good time. And I may reread this book in a couple of weeks. I like rereading kind of these bigger books. And then again, hopefully the second part comes out. But that was Thor by Jason Aaron. And again, artist Esad Ribic. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. All about Gore in here, all about Thor. Now I'm just rambling. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Okay, bye.